Badenzawe Lama Rinpoche Dakishore, Thank you. Garden Jembu Goni, Jizon de, Kuzon to Jen, Udrip Tado, so. First of all, I must express my happiness that I am able to visit you again in Brussels, and that I can see all of you after a long time. As some of you know, I was planning to come last year and made the program and about to come, and then there was lots of coronavirus and I had to cancel it. So I'm very happy that I'm here this time because, since 1990 I've been coming to Samizong, Brussels, I think almost every year. And it was kind of strange not being able to come here. And most of the time, I don't need an invitation, I just come. I consider this as one of my homes. And this time, I'm staying actually. In the beginning, I used to stay sometimes 1 month at a time. But this last some years, I was not that long. This time I'm staying longer also. So I'm very happy. So, this year I've been given a kind of a strange schedule to teach on this book for 4 days, and then another book like this for another 2 days. I'll cover them all. I'm joking. And but today there is a group who wants to take refuge, and this book, has 7 points, and first 3 points are about the refuge. Actually, this book, what is in this translation called Buddha Nature, the actual name of the book is, what is it? Lama. Lama means Uttara Tantra Shastra. Uttara Tantra Shastra is the Mahayana Uttara Shastra with that's Sanskrit. I think that's easier to call it Buddha nature, I think. And this is a very important book. This is one of the, what we usually call, 5 books of Maitreya. There was a very important teacher. Actually, there were 2 very important teachers, brothers. 2 brothers who were very important teachers in India. And one is Asanga, and one is Vasubandhu. There's an interesting story. Maybe I'll tell that story before we go into this complicated philosophy. There was a lady, I think originally she was a nun, I think. And then she really wanted to, what can you say, preserve and spread the Mahayana Buddhism. And Buddhism as a whole, but also Mahayana Buddhism especially. And then she was thinking what to do. And she thought, I'm just a kind of a ordinary lady and not very, educated or anything like that. So I think the best way would be to produce children. And so I will make some children and let them do it for me. It's the easier way, And then she got together with 2 different men and had two sons. And then when they grew a little bit older, they asked, who is our father? What is his profession? What was his caste? What are we supposed to do? And she said, forget about your father. I didn't produce you because to do your father's job. I got you, I raised you in order that you will study and practice and spread Buddha Dharma. So you go and do that. So they went and studied, and the younger one, which was Vasubandhu, became extremely bright and very, very, great scholar. And he wrote lots of books. Most of the books which are being even now studied are from him. He was known as one of the most erudite, scholar. The elder brother, Asanga, thought he would do in another way. He thought that he will practice and propitiate the future Buddha, Maitreya Buddha, so much so that he would be able to directly see him, and then he will get direct transmission and instructions from him, and that he will teach to the others. So he went to a cave on a mountain not very far from Bodh Gaya. I went there. It's quite a climb, but I am so proud that I could go there, because usually I'm not good at those kind of... Anyway, so he practiced there, and did whatever he was doing for, I think 3 years or something like that. And he had nothing. He didn't see the Maitreya Buddha. He didn't even have a good dream. Then he thought, oh, it's not possible. So he was coming down. He said, now I give up. And then he saw somebody. Now there are many stories. This I don't really remember exactly right order, but he saw that there was one man. He had a feather, and then was putting this feather in the water and brushing on a huge rock. And he said, what are you doing? He said, well, my house is just behind this rock. And when the sun comes in the morning, this rock is, obstructing the sun coming to my window. So I like to get rid of this rock. So I'm trying to, kind of, what can you say, brush this off somehow. So when he heard this, he thought, oh, I have been too impatient. These people, just ordinary people, just to get rid of a rock, to get the sun in their window, doing so much effort, and it will, almost not possible. And I to get enlightenment and to just meditate or practice for 3 years and got gave up. That's too impatient. So then he came back again to his cave, and again he practiced. Another 3 years, still nothing. And again he was going down, and then he found another person. He had a kind of iron bar, and again he was polishing it. He says, what are you doing? He said, well, I need a needle, and I'm making this needle out of this. So again he thought, no, I've been too impatient. So he went back. Like this, I think he did for 12 years in this way. And still he didn't have anything. Then he came down. He was coming down, and then he saw on the, he came down on the ground, on the plain, and there was a dog, very injured dog. The dog's kind of lower part was totally lots of wounds and infested with maggots and very bad smelling, and was not able to, it's totally invalid. But still the upper part was, kind of angry, and he was kind of barking at him and about to, bite. And when he saw this, Asanga thought, these samsaric beings, they're so sad, you cannot take care of your own body, and now he's still so angry at me and trying to bite me. It's it's so sad, and I must help. So he became really, naturally very, very kind of a strong empathy, strong kind of feeling towards this dog. And he wanted to help, but he wanted to first clear his wound. But it was so, so bad smelling, and so many, even maggots were there. So he thought he should not kill the maggots, so he should use his tongue to clear them. But it was so bad, so yucky. So he closed his eyes and he went like this, And suddenly his tongue touched the ground. And he didn't know what happened. He opened his eyes and there was no dog. And he looked up and there was, Maitreya Buddha shining with bright light and was standing in front of him. And he said this, "What is this? I've been, meditating on you, praying to you, doing all things, and I don't see you for 12 years. Why is this?" He says, "Well, you practiced for 12 years and that made your negative karma a little bit thinner. But this time you got a real, true, compassion. And that cleared the rest of your negative karma. And now you see." Then he said, "Well, I need to show you to everybody. Please sit on my shoulder, I'll show you." He said, "They will not see me." "Well, I'll show them." So he was a little bit, those kind of stubborn people, So he made him sit on there, and then he went around and said, "Look here, the Buddha of future Maitreya is here on my shoulder. Please look." And everybody said, "He's been too long in the cave, gone gaga, And then only one old lady saw a little dog, and then she became something. So Maitreya Buddha took him to, the 33 heaven and taught this, according to his story, taught these 5 books, and this is one of the books, the last one actually. So this book, all these 5 books are, actually textbooks in all Buddhist monasteries, especially the, higher studies. This book is especially regarded very important, and it is regarded as a kind of a text which joins together the sutras and tantras. So kind of introduction, a true introduction of Vajrayana Tantra. So therefore, those who do 3-year retreat, 3-year retreat in Kagyu system, most of the time they do, practice and they get instructions and things like that. But the study, they have to study 3 books. And we call it Nangta Jusam. This is one of them. Then there is Samo Nangden. There is a kind of shortened version or the instructions of Kalachakra Tantra. And then He Vajra Tantra. These 3 books are must study, for the 3-year retreat people. And so therefore it's a very important book, not necessarily easy, a little bit complicated, because it's quite deep. So I'm a little bit, I don't know how to approach this, where to go kind of word by word, or and then there is, in 4 days there's nothing much you can do, so maybe I'll find another way. Anyway, that's not the point. But today I would like to talk about refuge. And this starts with refuge, Buddha, Dharma and Sangha in a, more kind of deeper way. So Buddha, Dharma and Sangha is important in Buddhism. I think I would like to say this, the Buddhism is in one way very different from almost all other religions. Because most of the religions talk about God and the Creator and things like that. Buddhism don't say anything about God or Creator. They talk about kind of celestial beings or other beings, higher beings than us, but they don't believe in a creator as such. Their main thing is not God, but people. When Buddha, when he was not a Buddha, but Prince Siddhartha, his main search, his main idea was how to find a way to bring, complete happiness and liberation to all the people, how to help people. When he was, very kind of baby prince, a great astrologer, a palmist, predicted that this boy will become very great and he will be helping lots of people. He will either become one of the greatest emperor, or he will become a great, teacher, master. So, understandably, his father didn't want him to become a teacher. He wanted him to be an emperor. And he did everything to make him an emperor. But when Siddhartha grew up, he came to understand that even if he became the greatest emperor on earth, he would not be able to totally eliminate all the sufferings of the people. He couldn't help everybody, because he came to understand very clearly that everybody will get old, everybody will get sick, everybody will die, and everybody has to go through things they don't want. They will lose their loved ones, They have to, all these problems will be there, and he can't do anything. And he has to go through that also. His father has to go, everybody has to go through. So he thought, there must be another way, to liberate yourself from this world, from this samsara, from this, And that's why he left his palace, his child, his beautiful and loving wife, and he went into the forest. And he met some greatest kind of spiritual teachers of that time, practiced them, studied them, and things like that. And finally, after 6 years, he meditated and all this, he found his answer. And that is what we call Buddhahood. He attained Buddhahood, enlightenment. And Buddha is a Sanskrit word, which means he knew. Buddha is coming from the root word bodh, means to understand, to know, to come to see, And then he became a Buddha, he understood, he experienced his wisdom, all his kind of unclarity of his mind, and he could see the true causes of the problems and sufferings and pain. And he could truly see how we can totally liberate ourselves and find a lasting kind of happiness, lasting peace and joy that has no death. And that is the Buddhahood, So, as if we have to talk about Buddhism in a little bit deeper way, we have to understand what Buddha is. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't really get to the bottom. Now, Buddha said that, he became Buddha, he attained the Buddhahood, but he said he was not the only one who became Buddha. Many people before him have become Buddha, and many people after him will become Buddha. Actually, anybody can become Buddha. That's the Buddhist way of understanding. Anybody can, it doesn't matter whether it's, what kind of person you are, you are from, east, west, south, north, man, woman, black, white, yellow, green, whatever you are, doesn't matter. If you try and if you practice and if you learn, you can become a Buddha. And when you become a Buddha, it's not that you become something totally different from what you are. Actually, he said, you just bring out your full potentials, your own true nature. You realize, you experience, you recognize. You just know yourself fully and completely, and not just know intellectually, but experientially. Your full potential is, experienced, and that's the Buddha. And when you can do that, then, he says, all your problems solved, because you will never have any problem anymore, because you can deal with anything. You understand what you are so clearly and completely that no problem can actually hurt you or touch you. You become totally free. So he found out that is the ultimate way to solve all our problems, because then, first, it could be attained by anybody. Second, if one can do that, that will solve all his problems or her problems, not only of this life, but all the lives to come. And not only that, but then he or she would be able to bring that experience, help everybody else also to get that kind of, understanding and experience. And if you get that, all your positive, all your positive qualities will be so expressed, like your wisdom, your compassion, your power, all the potentials will be totally, so therefore, he says, there is nothing better, there is no better solution than to become that. And it is not something that you need, something special. You just need to, expose, or you need to bring out your own potential, capacities. So that's Buddhahood. So Buddha taught that, if you really want to solve all your problems, you try to become a Buddha. That would solve all your problems. And that is the best way also to help others, because if anybody gets even a little bit nearer to it, lots of their problems will be solved. So that's why he became a teacher instead of emperor. So then, what Buddha did was he shared his experience with people and try to teach people a way to work towards that, but not just one way. If you are really serious to become a Buddha, then he gave those teachings, and also that step by step. But if you are not really interested to become a Buddha, because most of us don't know what Buddha is, so maybe I don't want to become a Buddha, but I want to become little better, in many different ways. I want to become more wiser, more kind of positive, more compassionate. Then he gave those kind of teachings and those kind of. So he gave lots of different teachings. So when we talk about Dharma, Dharma is two things. Dharma is the experience that Buddha has of his liberation, of his wisdom, and of his Buddhahood experience. That is Dharma. That is also Dharma. And then the guidance that he gave, the teachings that he gave to different people, the path, that how to improve ourselves, how to work on that way. That is also Dharma. So there are two Dharma, and that Dharma can be. One is his own experience. That is sometimes called, the cessation. And then the different instructions he gave to people, that they would understand and they would be able to practice. That's called the path. So this Dharma is the cessation and path, these two. So then, there is something called Sangha. Sangha is, people that who actually study the Dharma, practice the Dharma, and have some understanding, some level of experience, some level of attainment, liberation and things like that. So that, they could, even when Buddha has gone, has expired as parinirvana, they could continue to teach the Dharma. And, so that lots of people can actually, some can even attain enlightenment, like Buddhahood, some can attain different attainments and things like that. And that is the Sangha. Yeah. So the highest level of Sangha is Buddha himself or herself. Then others, anything below that, and if somebody, through the practice of Dharma, can fully able to transform their negative emotions and habitual tendencies and liberate themselves from the samsaric cycle, then they are called noble Sangha. And those who are not, then just Sangha, like we are. Yes. Yeah. So then, what do you mean by taking refuge in Buddha, Dharma and Sangha? Because that's some of you are going to do. One way is, there's this great master called Buddha, and he was a great master, a great reformer. He taught, he taught a way to, to the whole people of the world, how to live, with kindness and compassion and wisdom. So I want to follow the path. I want to follow this great being. So that's going refuge to the Buddha. I want to follow him. I want to, study him and, kind of listen to his instructions and follow him. And by doing that, then I got refuge to this Dharma, because Dharma is his instructions, his findings, his experience, his teachings. So I'm going to study his instructions and his teachings, and really trying to understand them, explore them, examine them, and use them on myself, so that I will be benefited from there, and I will be able to benefit others from there. That's taking refuge in the Dharma. And in order to understand this Dharma, then I would receive teachings and instructions and guidance from other people who have some instructions and experience of Dharma. And those genuine kind of Dharma people, I would like to, try to learn from them, try to get influenced by them, and so that I become a better person, good person. I will find the, truth, truth out of that. So that's one way of taking refuge, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Another way is, when I say I take refuge in the Buddha, it's not that particular person called Buddha, but, I want to bring my potential Buddha, the true Buddha, my own true nature, or kind of, I want to explore that. I want to totally become, what can you say, bring out my natural, positive qualities that is within me to its fullest, extent. And for my own good, for my own liberation, and in order to help others, I would like to work towards that. I want to, understand fully how things are, who am I, what I am, bring wisdom, compassion, and all positive qualities out. Towards that, I would like to work for my own benefit and for the benefit of others. That's taking refuge in Buddha. That's taking refuge in the Buddha in a more inner way, more deeper way. So in order to do that, then I would study different levels of teachings of the Buddha, and not just study and understand them intellectually, but also practice them, use them in myself, so that I also can become, enlightened myself, and up to the experience of the Buddha himself. I would like to work on that for my own good, for my own benefit, and for the benefit of everybody else. I would study and practice Dharma. That's how to take refuge in the Dharma. So in order to take refuge in the Dharma, then I must, I must study, I must associate myself in a positive, community, positive people, enlightened people, kind and compassionate people, wise people. So I learn from them. I associate myself. I follow their examples, and that's taking refuge in the Sangha. So if I do these three things, I am somebody who has taken refuge. If I want, I can call myself a Buddhist or Dharma practitioner. I am somebody who kind of voluntarily or by my free will want to actually find the right path for myself. That's taking refuge. Yeah? So, actually, those people who are here to take refuge, in one way they've already taken refuge, because the decision is the one which is taking refuge, not the ceremony, If I say that I would like to work on this, I would like to follow this path, I would like to work on my transformation, that means I have taken refuge. Yeah. So what you do now is just a kind of a symbolic, ritual, you can say, to give that decision a kind of a hit, like when the judge gives, and then puts the hammer, it's done, so it's kind of like that, So when you are taking refuge, what you actually do is just repeat the refuge prayer 3 times, In Buddhist tradition, usually Buddha said that, you should not impose your teachings on anybody. You should not impose. So, to take refuge or anything like that, even receiving teachings, he didn't recommend any of his followers just to go and teach, like a missionary. He said, if somebody is interested and requests you, then you can teach, but not before that. And sometimes you have to be requested 3 times. Now refuge is one of them, so that's why you will be requesting 3 times before. So that's why we do 3 prostrations. First we do 3 prostrations to kind of to show that you are requesting 3 times. Then after you repeat after me the refuge prayer 3 times. What you would say is this: please teacher, or please monk, I, by the name of so and so, would like to take refuge in Buddha, in Dhamma, and Sangha until I attain enlightenment. So please accept me as somebody who has taken refuge from today. You say this 3 times in Tibetan. It doesn't need to be in Tibetan, but since I don't know good language, so I'll say it. I know by heart in Tibetan, but not. So, after 3 times saying that, then I make a sign like this. Then you are done. Then you have become refugee. I don't like that word actually too much, but whatever. After that, then, that's important because, if you want to know exactly what time you took, that's the time when I do like this. Usually, in your case, it's not important, but to become a monk, especially that time, it was very important. Because, at that time in India, you had like castes and different, so everybody was, the caste, the high caste set up, low caste set down. And Buddha made it different system. He said that there is no caste, there is no, people, no difference of caste or, wealth or, all kind of thing. Only thing is that the seniority. So if you become monk now, then if somebody becomes monk tomorrow, you will sit ahead of him, on top of him. Once, there was a problem. The Buddha went back to his home country, and then lots of young people wanted to become monks and follow him. All these, his cousins and his, princess, lots of princes and things like that. And then there was a shaver, what you call it, hair cutter. They were shaving their heads because to become a monk they had to shave their head. And then they did all this, and then after some time they found that this hair cutter was sitting in a corner and weeping. And Buddha's attendant saw this, and he went and said, what's wrong with you? Why you are weeping? He said that, I also want to become a monk and follow Buddha, but I can't. He said, why you can't? Because I am low caste, and low castes are not allowed, But he says, Buddha is not, he doesn't differentiate with castes. If you want, you can go to Buddha and ask him, and he will, I'm sure he will make you a monk. He says, is it really true? He said, yes, you can come now if you want. So he took him to the Buddha and said, he says he wants to become a monk, but he says he's low caste, so therefore he's kind of not able to request. Buddha said, oh, why not? If you really want to become a monk, you can become now. So he shaved his head and he became a monk. Now next morning, when all these Buddha's cousins and high people came to take monk's vows, this hair cutter, who is their kind of servant, was sitting on top of them because he became monk yesterday. So they were not very happy, they complained. Anyway, that's not the point here. So after that, then what to do? Yes, then you come, each of you come to me, and of course I'll shave. Where is that? I'll cut a small piece of your hair, and that is supposed to kind of signify that, you are making, yes, the kind of highest offering, because hair is kind of part of our body and also growing on the highest point, so making a kind of symbolically highest offering. Then I'll give you a blessing code. This is totally Tibetan. It's nothing to do with Buddha. Custom. Then I give you a name. Yes, a new Tibetan name to shock you, because most of you would not be able to pronounce them. And then, it's a reminder, when you are not that highly motivated and, things like that, then you say, what is this? I have this strange name. And then, oh yes, I took this something called Refuge from this, crazy old man. And then why did I take it? Was I crazy or something like that? And no, I thought I was going to do something, improve myself or something like that. So it's a reminder. Yeah? So therefore, it's... Sinonde tamje zipani tone yebe tanam shega naji walam tuba sibe sole dowa shu